up? Welcome to Birdland. Orange or black, we rebuild the pack. No matter where we at, you know we coming back. Section 336, we on this, so tune in. You know what's up? Welcome to Birdland. Yeah, welcome to Birdland. You know what's up? Welcome to Birdland.
Now, here come the boys from Section 336.
Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, Baltimore sports fans of all ages, welcome to Section 336, Next Generation Baltimore Sports Talk. I am your endearing center host. As always, I'm joined by a guy who's spending his next week just running prep drafts. What do you call those things? Draft cast things for the Ravens. Drafts. Mock drafts.
Mock.
The button lever Josh Roca.
Yeah, and it's all QB centric.
Ooh.
It's all finding a new QB.
But, Josh is bringing QBs in for interviews and everything.
You didn't even say your own name in your introduction. You said I'm the host.
I'm Matt. I'm Matt Soroka. I'm Matt Soroka.
So
that's who I am.
Uh-huh.
I'm an Orioles fan.
I mean, the way the Orioles are playing, I'm not even worried about this stupid football draft.
Yeah, it snuck up on me. I just saw a text in it, or just saw a tweet saying it was a week away. It snuck up on me.
Yep, I know it's the 27th because I've got some stuff to do, a film study. But come on, this is a baseball town. We're 11-7.
Yeah, I mean, and we'll get in. And we'll get into it. We're beating up on these terrible teams that we should beat up on. But the good news is we keep on playing these bad teams for the rest of the month. So enjoy it until you hit mid-May. Enjoy all this winning.
A little tougher.
Yeah.
Nah, let's hope that by mid-May we're like in good form and can then take on some better teams as well and keep this up.
Well, I hope so. We're not gonna talk about it. We'll just focus on what they've done recently because
let's focus on stuff
nothing but
like
good news.
2 shutouts in a row.
Yeah, and then and Grayson gave up runs in the first, and then the team. I mean, we got a streak here of what was something like 26, 27 innings, like 26 innings maybe, without giving up a run. That's pretty good.
Right. We'll just look past that it was the Nationals, and look past that we only scored 1 run the first game and 4 runs the second game against the Nationals.
Yeah, that Nationals, their pitching staff, actually, I was pretty impressed. I thought Mackenzie Gore looked really good, just on Wednesday. And then, what was it, Josiah Gray? I thought he was pretty good, too. I was impressed with the Nats pitching. The hitting is another story.
Right.
Hitting's a joke.
Yep, like that stadium. It's a joke.
Just like that entire franchise, Josh.
Hey, but you know what? If you're a Nats fan, at least you can celebrate Snyder selling the team.
Yep.
So you at least got something there in Washington.
Yep, they got something we wish we had, an owner selling the team.
But hey, did you see the news today about the? I know we're gonna get to Orioles, but did you see the news today? Speaking of teams, about the Oakland Athletics.
Yeah. Is that official, or I didn't really read carefully?
They've signed a letter of intent for a piece of property in Las Vegas, and I guess Las Vegas is geared up to spend over $1 billion on a new stadium. So I think that means they're pretty much moving to Las Vegas. So
yeah, I mean they're a bit of a joke franchise right now, but as they pointed out, as Ben McDonald kept pointing out, they were good a couple years ago. It's not like they have been terrible, like the Orioles have the past. They were good a couple years ago and consistently in the playoff hunt a couple years ago.
And what I don't get about Oakland is Oakland was the whole money ball.
Right.
All this money ball started with Oakland and Billy Beane, right?
Yeah.
Billy Beane is still there.
Yeah.
Why are they so far behind on everyone else? Like, if they started this whole thing of focusing on analytics, why did that not go anywhere?
Well, I think what happened was, here's just my take. Everyone says, I don't know if this is true or not, I don't know anything, but everyone says that every trade they made, because they traded away all their big names, and this is something I feel like, it's part of the blueprint, because you can't pay all these guys. So how to get a good team without paying any money when they, get up in their years, you trade them for younger talent.
Right.
But everyone says that all their trades were terrible and all the players they got back were rip-offs. So they traded Cole Irvin to us for Harnais, and they're
Yeah.
looking pretty good on that one
Yeah,
so
that one's
far.
looking pretty good for them.
Yeah, but for the most part, people are saying they lost out on like all those trades, and I wonder if sometimes, if you are the innovator, now every team has caught up to you and probably passed you.
Right.
Do you try to be like super cute and you're trying to find the next thing?
Oh, that's an interesting idea.
So yeah, I think he's trying to figure something out. So everyone else thinks an idiot, but he again thinks he's this genius that no one's that people
so kinda,
10 years.
Right, kind of like the iPhone wasn't the first smartphone, but everyone caught up and then surpassed like whatever the first smartphone was.
Right.
So he couldn't innovate when everyone else kind of cheated by catching up and copying him, but then they were able to innovate from beyond there where he was stuck there.
Yeah, I don't know this for a fact, but my impression is they're not at all on the cutting edge of player development and technology and all that stuff. Like I think they're behind.
They probably are. I mean,
where
just
teams like the Orioles are.
I think looking at the Coliseum tells you how much money they invest in like off the field stuff.
Yeah. So hopefully that'll be a good thing for baseball. I mean, I don't care. I'm not a Oakland A's fan. My son's on the Oakland A's T-ball team. They have cool uniforms. I hope to keep the uniforms. But I don't really care.
I assume they'll still be the Las Vegas Athletics.
Yeah.
I mean, the Athletics has nothing to do with Oakland, and it's got nothing to do with Las Vegas, so why not just keep it?
Yeah, I don't know the origins of the athletic name.
Maybe they'll become the Golden Athletics.
Yeah, maybe. I mean, and sometimes don't care. Like, the Brooklyn Dodgers were named the Dodgers because they were in Brooklyn and you had to dodge the trolleys. Yet when they went to LA, they just kept the Dodgers name, even though it didn't really apply anymore. So
right.
Well, baseball history there.
Yeah.
That's been baseball history with Matt Soroka.
Does that make you want to get out to Oakland before they move to go to a game at the Coliseum?
No.
Oh, see, it kind of makes me want to. Kind of makes me want to because it's been on my list as I want to check out all the stadiums. Now I feel like kind of like I've been in the old Yankee and the new Yankee. I've been in Memorial and I've been in Camden. I want to go to the Coliseum because it's got such a history before I go visit Las Vegas.
Okay. No, like that's as far as stadiums to visit, it's probably dead last on my list.
It was pretty far down the list for me. Now it's probably going to bump up to like next year.
All right. How long will they be in Oakland for? Will next year be the last year? Is there a timeline on this thing?
Like a $1 billion plus stadium, I imagine it's going to take a few years.
Yeah.
So unless they have like a temporary place to play, I imagine it's 3 years out.
Well, if you thought Oakland attendance was bad before, when they tell everybody they're moving, who's going to those games?
I don't know because Oakland's close enough to Las Vegas that I'm sure those flights are like $50. So like it sucks. You got to travel a little bit further. But would you lose your fanship?
I think you would.
If the Orioles moved to, I don't know,
Charlotte, Tennessee, Nashville.
Well, Nashville's, I think, further. Yeah, but let's say, if the Orioles move to Nashville, are you no longer an Orioles fan?
Yes.
Are you? Are you done with the Orioles if they move to Nashville?
Yeah, I think I am.
What if they are still called the Nashville Orioles?
I think I'm still done. Yeah, I think I'm done.
So then who do you cheer for? Atlanta? You suddenly can accept being a Georgia?
Josh, if that scenario happened, I really think I would renounce my fandom in baseball and I would stop rooting for any team.
Yeah. You know what? I'm pulling my mic up because there's comments on there saying that my mic's volume's low. So hopefully that's better. I think this would have to be just a conversation of you and I call and be like, so how's your week been?
Yeah, I saw some post on Twitter, like a vote to where you could vote. A's fans were like, vote for who should we now root for. The Orioles were on the list as an option. I think this is going to be a good opportunity to poach some fans because we have one of the coolest, youngest up-and-coming teams.
Yeah.
Oakland A fans jump onto the Orioles bandwagon. Now is a perfect time to jump on.
No, I think you're right. I think that's a great article that people should write is why the Orioles this is a great time to hop on the bandwagon. And I think we're going to see it all season. I think we're going to see The Nats are horrible. So we're going to see a lot of Nats fans jump on the bandwagon and try to proclaim how they've been lifelong Oriole fans. We're going to see a lot of that stuff. Oh, Cal Ripken Jr. was my favorite player. Sure, I rooted for the Nats because they won a World Series, but now I'm back to the Orioles. So let's just forget that little time I cheated on you with the Nationals.
Yeah, I mean, it was just 4 years ago now that the Nats won the World Series, and it very much feels like the Madison Cup. I feel is always kind of this good kind of litmus test for these two franchises. And right now, I think it's appropriate that we swept them, and we shut them out both games because we are now the ascending team, and they are the descending team. And yeah, they took a lot of our fans because their team was better, and so hopefully now we can get those fans back.
Yeah, the Nationals won the World Series in 2019. That's not that long ago. That's 3 years ago.
No, yeah.
I want the Orioles to win the World Series, but
I would like that too.
I do not believe this organization is set up that in 2027 we're trash.
I don't know because a lot of this is ownership, right? Will
it's
ownership,
totally ownership, yes,
invest in either acquiring talent to supplement what we have or locking up the great talent that's on this team?
Yeah, you know what? You're kind of right. It's like if once you win it, do you care again? Like once you get that ring, is it? We've talked about this with the Ravens. I remember we would say the Ravens when the Ravens won that Super Bowl. We're like everything's good for 5 years. Whatever they do, we're good for 5 years.
Yeah.
But
the Ravens have been consistently good. I feel like the entire
Ravens
franchise
have been consistently good for the most part. I don't think the Orioles have earned that luxury that you win the World Series and I'm good with whatever you do for 5 years. Because we joked about the Ravens are good for 5 years, but they were still making it into the playoffs and stuff. If they dropped to the worst team in the league, that would not be acceptable.
Right. I mean, and I don't want this to be a situation where you bring everybody up, then you have your Adley, your Gunners, your Kerstadt, your Grayson. They all hit their arbitration years similar times. You make a run at it, and then at that point you blow it up, trade them all away, get the prospects right. Like I don't want that. I don't want that.
And that's the fear. And that's the fear with current ownership especially, who won't lock up these young guys early. Like we're seeing the Braves lock their guys up early. We're not seeing that here in Baltimore, which leads you to believe how long is this window? Like we all want Adley here forever. Is there going to be a time where we're going to have to see Adley in pinstripes? I don't know
why you would even suggest
I'm just saying.
That, you fool.
I'm just saying.
Oh, my gosh. I came on here to talk about the Orioles dominating, winning every series.
Right.
They don't lose series. Their pitching's turn around.
Right,
Their offense looks good. And you're talking about Adley and pinstripes. I don't even know where I am right now.
You don't think we're going to get pinstriped Oriole uniforms one day? We've got those City Connects coming up soon.
Will our names be on the back or no?
It depends. Are you a fan or a fan?
Yeah. All right. So let's get to some Josh. I feel like now we have. My biggest question is I keep on finding myself at this point in the season, April 20th. We're about a month in almost.
18 games in.
Yeah. I keep on asking myself, like, are these things real? Like, for example, people want to say that Gunnar Henderson has struggled a bit offensively, but a lot of people say that's not real. He'll snap out of it. On the other side of it, like Jorge Mateo has been on fire, and a lot of people say, well, he'll snap out of it. That's not real. There's a lot of things, a lot of numbers so far in the season that strike me, frankly, and we can get into some of the specifics, as surprising to shocking. And I'm asking myself, are these numbers real, or is this just 18 games and things will normalize?
Yeah. I'll tell you my favorite thing of the 18 games is I have felt like we are in every single game. Those 7 losses, I still felt like we were in those and had a chance to win all the way up to the end. So
that's interesting.
You have not felt that way, I take it? Because for me, that is a new feeling. That's not a feeling from last year. Where last year it was, I hope we can gut these out. Where this season, I don't have confidence in our bullpen, but our bats and our starting pitching I've been feeling good enough that I've been confident that we're in these games. We're not getting blown out in anything. I feel at any point we can put up 3-4 runs in an inning. So I've been feeling good about that.
Yeah, I guess, I mean, I kind of had the opposite impression where I was like, why are we staying so close to these teams? Why are we only beating the Nationals 1-0? Why are we going into
I get that.
Was the A's win extra innings with, and we won that one game 8-7. And it was kind of a back and forth, and you kind of stressed it. Like, why am I stressing out? Why are we stressing out games versus these poor teams? Why is every game close?
Yeah, well, I think it was the White Sox that we went into extra innings with.
Okay, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, you're right. The White Sox.
I get that, and part of me is that way too, where it's like these are bad teams. I want to make this impression. I want to really like hammer these bad teams, but I also understand that no team. The Rays won what, 12 straight games, 13 straight games.
Yeah, 13.
Which is an amazing feat. No matter how bad the other team you're playing is, any bad team can put things together to get a win every now and then. So I understand that. I don't know, and maybe it's me selfishly just liking these guys and liking these bats and liking this lineup. Mateo, you mentioned Mateo, and is it real? Mateo reminds me so much of Cedric Mullins from 2 years ago, where the entire season we're like, if he's still doing it in June, we'll start to believe him. Then June came and we're like, all right, if he does it in July, we'll start to believe it. Where it's like he took such a jump that it's hard to believe. Mateo has one of the best top 5 batting averages in baseball right now.
Yeah.
And it seems crazy.
Yeah, some quick numbers. You know, if you go on to Baseball Savant, some quick numbers of Jorge Mateo, where normally I don't pay attention to this, but these numbers are like eye-popping. So we all know he's like 99th percentile in sprint speed. He still is. He's also, check out some of these numbers. He's average exit velocity, 83%. He's not a power hitter, but his average exit velocity is at the 83 percentile. His hard hit is 73%. His max exit velocity is 92%. His batting average, as you mentioned, is 86%, high batting average. And one of the things that strikes to me, and I don't know if it's for real or not, but even if it's kind of only partially for real, I think one of the things that you can look at is his whiff rate, right? The amount of times he's swinging at balls outside of the strike zone, and his chase percentage rate. So if you look at his chase rate, last year he chased 36% of the time he chased pitches out of the strike zone. 36% of the time. This year, it's down to just 25%.
I mean, that means he worked on that this offseason.
So he's swinging at a ton less balls that are outside the strike zone, and he's swinging at more balls that are inside the strike zone, which is leading to kind of harder contact, less strikeouts. He's only struck out 9 times this year. And to put that in perspective, he struck out 9 times. Santander and Gunnar Henderson have struck out 23 times. Mm-hmm. Adley Rutschman, right, who has the best bat 9 on the team, has struck out 13 times. Jorge Mateo struck out 9 times. Kind of wild. So, yeah, Jorge Mateo has been not just one of the best players on the Orioles. He's been one of the best players in baseball for the first 18 games of the season. And, you know, combine that with what he does on the base paths. Yeah, I mean, his OBP is 418. He's getting on the base over 40% of the time, and with that speed, yeah, I mean it's a game changer. He's had a lot to do with why the Orioles have one of the top offensives in baseball.
Yeah, and don't forget about the other side of the glove. He was snubbed for a Gold Glove last year, playing just as well defensively this year.
Yeah, well, that's if we want to transition here. That's for me. I was trying to think about 18 games in. Is it real? What are some of the biggest surprises, biggest disappointments? And for me, the biggest kind of, I don't know, call it, I'm surprised by it and disappointed by it. Josh, our defense stinks.
Yeah,
we have first basemen who can't catch the ball. We have infielders who can't throw the ball accurately.
And
outfielders who it feels like every outfield fly ball is an adventure. mental errors, people not realizing other players are tagging up. I feel like the defense has been an absolute disaster, and we've overcome it with some good pitching,
but that's the type
with
of
good hitting. But the defense has been, in my eyes, a disaster.
No, I think you're right. I think the defensive struggles is the stuff that starts to show up when you play good teams. We've been able to get away with defensive struggles against bad teams, but that's definitely something that's got to clean up. And I think it's also so surprising for us because defense has always been a bright spot for the Orioles. Like when everything else was bad, at least we knew we could play defense and get a double play when we need to get out of an inning and stuff like that.
Yeah, if you look at the kind of defensive run saved numbers, we're one of the worst teams in baseball in terms of defensive run saved, and it's you're right, surprising because last year we were one of the best teams with defense, and we pretty much bring all the position players are pretty much back this year. A small change in Adam Frazier, but Adam Frazier I think is an upgrade over Odor defensively. And so on paper, this is a good defensive team, but they haven't performed like that. So is it real? I hope the bad defense is just kind of one of these things and it's not real. But yeah, the defense needs to get it together before we start playing, before we get into May and some of these tougher teams.
Yeah. Are you concerned? Should we be concerned at all about Jorge Mateo being day to day with like hip discomfort?
I don't know. I don't know. I saw someone say it was like a case of dehydration or something too on Twitter. I don't know. It's hard to know. Like what?
A dehydration from your hip? I thought hip dehydrate, or I thought dehydration was like cramps and stuff.
Yeah, I guess. I mean, Jorge Mateo has that like cousin on Twitter or something who tweets. I think some.
I don't know. I don't know Jorge Mateo's cousin.
Yeah, he's got a cousin on Twitter who tweets sometimes about it.
I gotta find Jorge's cousin.
Yeah, I don't know if it's a real cousin or just like a cousin, but no. I mean, anytime. Yeah.
With quick Jorge Mateo.
Yeah.
Owen, who's 9. Jorge Mateo, he's been on ESPN and MLB Network lately because he's having such a good season.
Yeah.
And every time Owen sees him on TV, he goes, "It's George. Why does everyone say Jorge?" He cannot translate why it's pronounced Jorge when it's spelled George.
At home, do you call him George, Josh? Is that where he's getting this from?
I do not. I constantly correct him that it's Jorge.
Okay. Yeah, but injuries, you never know. I don't know what's going on with injuries with this team. Even we can get into some of the bullpen injuries with Tate and Givens coming back, but it's impossible to know. But it seems like this year, and maybe because of the style of play, Jorge Mateo plays really hard. He's steals bases. He's diving everywhere.
Yeah.
He's already sat out a couple games. Had to come out early. He's hurt his finger once and somehow stayed in the game. It seems like we're just 18 games in, but he's kind of getting nicked and bruised here quite a bit. Thankfully, we have some depth in the infield, but yeah, I mean, you might even be one of those things where you consider DHing him a little bit just because his bat's been so hot and you want to kind of protect him a little bit because he does seem to get a bunch of nicks and bruises for whatever reason.
Yeah, and we do have a little depth even down in Norfolk that we could bring up if we need to get a little space there. At least the infield, we've got some space.
Yeah, I'm not ready to have the conversation now, but pretty soon, I'm just going to be quiet about it. But in about a month, 2 months, we're going to start to have conversations about the minors and what's happening there, and as far as making room in the major league roster.
Yeah,
we're okay now. We don't need to get into it, but this conversation is looming out there of these prospects banging on the door.
Let's just say it's pretty good that Austin Hayes is having a good start to his season.
Yeah.
He needs it.
Yeah, like there's going to be too many good players, not in positions, but we'll cross that bridge when we come to it.
Good problem to have, yes.
Yeah. Other big takeaways for me is, I think something came as a big surprise to me was, in general, the performance of the starting pitching, which I thought is,
yeah.
Now, part of me is not a huge shock because I thought it was going to be an up and down season with starting pitching. I whined and moaned that we didn't bring another veteran starting pitcher with a proven track record because this was my very concern was inconsistency with Dean Kramer, inconsistency with Kyle Bradish, inconsistency with Grace Rodriguez. Oh, and we've seen some inconsistencies with our starting pitching. So it's not really a surprise, but we need to get together. I said last year, one of the biggest kind of Achilles heel of this team was lack of quality starts, right? Our starters can't get deep in the games. They can't not give up runs, right? The 6 innings, 3 runs. This year we have 4 quality starts so far, 2 of them by Kyle Gibson. This is not gonna that's 4 out of 18 games.
Right.
That's not gonna get it done.
But you also want to look at other things, and like you almost want to give it to Tyler Wells for when he came in the second inning and pitched 6 innings or whatever. Came in the first inning. You almost want to count that as a quality start for Tyler Wells coming in.
Yeah, well, this has been my concern. Like, we have talented pitchers. Kyle Bradish, Tyler Wells, Grayson Rodriguez. These are super talented guys who could be really successful.
Yes.
They just don't have proven track records, and so they're going to be more inconsistent than an established, top rotation arm. They're going to be more consistent. They'll be great starts, and then they'll be terrible starts. And that's kind of what we signed up for here.
Correct.
And it's what we've seen. No. Josh, how surprised were you that kind of when the numbers got complicated, Cole Irvin was the first to get sent down?
I was surprised. I was surprised that they didn't try to stretch to a 6-man rotation, that they instantly went to the 5-man and dumped him. I read earlier about how I saw some of his spring training stat comments where he said, "Hey, I've got an option available, so I assume I need to constantly pitch for my life up here."
Yeah, I don't know if he really meant it, but
I don't think
he did apparently.
Right, I don't know how much he meant it with that. I liked Cole Irvin as I think you and I were texting, and I was like, you know what, Cole Irvin, he brought this Homer hose stuff. He's got that going. It's nice to see some veteran leadership there coming, and was texting with you about clubhouse presence, and then the next day they cut him. So I was like, oh. And even when we were talking about clubhouse presence, we both agreed, we just wish he would pitch better.
Yeah, I mean, they didn't cut him. They just sent him to Norfolk to work on stuff, right? And to me, it was a little surprising, but it made me really happy. I'm not happy that Cole Irvin was demoted. I wish he pitched better, and I want him on the majors.
The hook, though.
Yeah, what I'm happy is, Josh, how many conversations did we have last year about how, listen, Chirinos, Odor, they're not good baseball players, but they're good clubhouse guys. So we're going to keep them on the roster, even though they're making our team worse because they're good rah-rah guys. Well, listen, I'm all about good clubhouse guys. I think that's important. Yeah. But what's more important is guys who perform well. And this, to me, is Orioles saying, listen, we don't have 2 months for you to figure this out. We're trying to win now. We have better options now. So sorry, Cole Irvin, you have options. You're gone because we don't have the time. We're trying to win now to have you figure it out here in the majors. So I really like it. I thought it was kind of a shots fired saying perform well or you're not going to be here because, as we just said, we have more talented players on the way. And if you can't perform well now, we have no time for you to figure it out. Right. Go figure it out somewhere else because we're trying to win.
I found it interesting because he had 2 starts, right?
Was it 2 or 3? Yeah.
Okay. No, you're right. It was 3. 3 starts. He got 2 losses. So 3 starts, he pitched 12.2 innings. So that's not going to do it. 4-inning starts. We talked earlier about how we need quality starts. 4-inning starts isn't going to do it. But it was interesting when I was going through his stats because he pitched, like I said, 12.2 innings, but he had 13 strikeouts. And that's normally a good sign if your strikeouts are above your innings pitched. If you're getting 1 an inning, that's a good sign. But his hits and runs were just killing him. 17 hits over 12 innings and 15 runs over 12 innings.
Yeah, well, and listen, the strikeouts are good, but the other thing was he's supposed to be, as my understanding was, and I don't know, I didn't watch obviously many Oakland Athletics games last year, but I thought his big calling card was location, being able to kind of pitch in the strike zone. And so I don't know if you have his numbers up there, Josh, but the walk numbers too.
8 walks in 12 innings. So that wasn't
8 walks in 12 innings. That's not getting it done.
Oh, he also hit a guy. So let's count that as 9 walks.
Yeah. So 9 free passes in 12 innings is not going to get it done for a guy who is supposed to be this control guy, and that's largely the reason his ERA was well above 10 or 13. So, and some people, I saw some people trying to say, well, last year he pitched in the Oakland Coliseum, which is a pitcher's ballpark, and now he's going to Camden Yards, which, by the way, is now actually more of a pitcher's ballpark. We'll talk about that.
Yep.
But also, like, pitcher's ballpark, what does that have to do with walking, 9 guys per 9 innings? Like, what does that do with all the walks? What does it not being able to locate your pitches? What does it do with getting behind everybody? That's nothing to do with the stadium. Get out of here with that nonsense. He's just not pitching well.
I remember this year, 12 innings and 8 walks. Last year, 181 innings. How many walks do you think he had?
30, 40.
36.
Yeah.
Huge difference in this year.
Yeah. Yeah, because he was a low location guy. The walks per 9 were off the charts this year, and that's why he got sent down.
Yep.
He's got to figure that out.
Yeah, no need. So hopefully, but I mean, hopefully he figures it out. But then it comes in the question, all right, so if he figures it out, how do you work his way back up here? I guess the plan is you assume not everyone's always going to be healthy. And someone's going to, if you keep that short leash, then every time someone's struggling, you're yanking them and putting up someone else.
Yeah, I think a lot of this stuff works itself out. At some point, maybe you have a conversation. Is Cole Irvin better in the bullpen? Could he be like a new Keegan Aiken?
Or Tyler Wells.
Or Tyler Wells. Because right now you can make an argument that Austin Voth isn't getting that job done.
Right.
And that Keegan Aiken could be a spot where you upgrade. So those are 2 spots I think you could upgrade. But I think a lot of this stuff will work itself out through injury or poor performance or other stuff. So I don't like to make predictions about Cole Irvin, where it will be in 2 weeks or 3 weeks, because anything can happen in those 2 or 3 weeks.
Right. You want to talk about Grayson?
Sure. Yeah, I'm curious to hear your impressions of Grayson. The numbers have not been great. I thought the Chicago start was kind of amazing, where he gave up 4 runs and then was dominant for the rest of the game. So very much I feel like a mixed start for Grayson. But Josh, what have you seen, and what are your kind of initial impressions of Grayson Rodriguez in the rotation?
He's interesting. He's had 3 starts so far, but he's only got 14 innings. So again, he's not going deep, but we didn't expect him to go deep. That's why we were kind of saying they'd be piggybacking him. At least was our preseason prediction. The strikeouts have been impressive, and when he's got what is that? Is it a changeup that's working?
Gosh, the changeup is freaking unhittable.
Right.
When it's thrown down in the strike zone. That pitch is amazing. I mean, you talk about his fastball, his 97-mile-per-hour fastball. I mean, that changeup was against the White Sox. That was one of the best pitches I've seen. It's ridiculous.
But it's also because that changeup is set up with that 97-mile-per-hour fastball.
Sure.
But and that's it. There's 2 pitches on this team that you can watch the replays of in slow motion and have fun. It's Grayson's changeup and Batista's splitter. They're both unhittable.
Yeah.
And I think that's exciting for him. We knew there'd be growing pains. We were all shocked that he got pulled up so fast. Because it's not like he performed well enough in Norfolk that he had to come up.
But Judge, I thought Mike Elias was trying to manipulate service time, so it wasn't going to bring him up till May.
No, there was no service time manipulation.
Oh, there wasn't.
He didn't even pitch well enough. He pitched 4 innings in Norfolk.
Yeah.
And in that game, he gave up 3 runs.
Right.
And he walked 4 guys. And he only struck out 2 guys. There was nothing in Norfolk to say, bring Grayson up to Baltimore.
Yeah.
So the Chicago get past that first inning, it's been impressive. Once he settles into a game, he's been impressive. I see the talk online of, send him down. Oh, it's another bust. Oh, the Orioles draft pitchers like the Ravens draft receivers.
You must have been looking at my text messages.
I mean, I've been happy with Grayson. We know there's some growing to happen with Grayson. He's not going to grow in Norfolk. It was nice to see him get a chance to grow with some weaker competition up in Baltimore. He still doesn't have a win yet, So hopefully we can get that soon. He faces the Tigers this weekend. Hopefully he can knock that win out. But I'm hoping that this experience helps him so that he is skipping past that first inning and going straight to that changeup flowing well in the first inning as we hit these good teams in the middle of next month.
Yeah, I think it's pretty simple with Grayson. And I think actually like my impression is, and I think other Oriole fans feel this, where like Grayson makes them feel like pitching coaches, like really smart. Because Grayson struggles. It's very obvious when he's struggling, when he's either getting behind the count or throwing the ball right down the middle and throwing his off-speed stuff, even his fastball right down the middle, or walking guys. That's where Grayson struggles.
Yeah.
If Grayson locates his pitches and doesn't get behind, he dominates. And so it's so clear watching him that his stuff is so good and good enough to dominate every game. The only time he ever gets in trouble is when he walks players, because he likes to walk the first batter of every inning, just go and put him on first base and get it over with. And then when he just, hangs the slider or throws the fastball right down the middle. That's the only time he struggles. And it's so obvious to me as a viewer. It makes me feel smart because I can watch Grayson and I can think, like with Kyle Gibson gives up 5 runs, gives up 1 run. I can't tell you what the difference was in his pitching. Anyone can sit and watch Grayson and say, oh, the only reason he's giving up any hits is because he's getting behind and he's throwing the ball right down the middle. He's missing his location. He's not throwing it to where he's supposed to throw it. And anyone can look at that because his stuff is good enough that if he throws it where he wants to throw it, no one's hitting the ball. And so the only time he struggles is when he doesn't locate his stuff. So the walks per 9, I think, is over 4. Like that's a lot of walks per 9 innings. So he needs to work on that. And he needs to work on, location in general, because not just walking guys, it's at times throwing the ball right down the middle.
He pitched 14 innings. He's got 7 walks.
Yeah, that's high.
Yeah, it's 1 every other inning.
Right. Thanks, Josh, for that math. Or 4.4 per 9.
Got it.
And so that's something to work on. But overall, I'm glad he's here.
Yeah. And the
his stuff is good. The changeup, I was blown away by the changeup. And I thought that that game where you're facing the runner-up to the Cy Young last year, one of the best pitchers in baseball, Dylan Cease.
Yeah.
You get down 4-0 in the first inning. That's a loss. You lost the game. It's over. Go home. It's over. Go home. The game's done. And we came back and we put the loss on Dylan Cease. We went up 5-4 against this Cy Young guy. We can get to our pitches for plate appearance that everybody's talking about. But our offensive approach is amazing this year. Long gone are the days of Jonathan Scope and Adam Jones going up there swinging at 3 pitches. Those days are done. And so I thought that was just an amazing win. Both Grayson Rodriguez, the maturity to after the first inning to kind of come back out and shut the team down, and then the offense to come back against one of the best pitchers in baseball. Just a great win against the White Sox there. So yeah, I'm happy. It's like I'm pumped to watch Grayson every start, even if there will be some struggles.
Yeah, and I think again, as long as I want to see growth. I want to see. We saw that with getting past that first inning. I want to see him start this Sunday, I believe. I want to see him come out Sunday and pitch well in the first inning. Come out hot.
Yeah, I would love to see it too. Josh, I mentioned in passing the pitches for plate appearance. I feel like they mention it on the Masson broadcast every 10 minutes, but the Orioles are first in all of baseball in pitches for plate appearance. We were one of the last teams in pitches for plate appearance. And I think a related story to that is the Orioles are the best team in baseball with OBP, about getting on base.
Yeah, definitely.
You look at Adley Rutschman getting on base 44% of the time or 45% of the time. I mentioned Jorge Mateo at 41%. People hate on Gunnar Henderson because he's had struggled offensively. He's third on the team with OBP. Even though Gunnar Henderson's struggling offensively, his OBP is 373, which is good enough for third on the team. I mean, that's the type of prospects and that's the type of players we're having this team. I don't think it's a coincidence, Josh, that 2 of our top 3 guys are guys that have kind of grown up in our system recently and been part of this new kind of Mike Elias player development program. I don't think it's a coincidence that, they're training high OBP guys. So even when Gunnar Henderson struggles offensively, he still contributes offensively because he just gets on base a ton.
Remember 2-3 years ago, the story we were talking about was how they've equipped all the minor league parks and all the minor league teams for the Orioles, all the Orioles minor league teams with all these sensors and bat sensors and pitching sensors and all this and the chest sensors and everything to try to explain and take analytics and turn it into use that analytics in the physical world. And I think that's what we're seeing with teaching guys more patience at the plate, teaching guys how to learn early and decide if that's a ball worth swinging at or not. The concept of mentally thinking about a 100-mile-per-hour ball and where it's going to go and whether or not I should swing at it is crazy to me to even – I feel like if Grayson Rodriguez pitched a fastball to me, by the time I swung, the ball would be into the batter's glove. And that's without even trying to guess where the pitch is going. So I think all that analytics is coming along. I don't know if it's a mental thing and knowing your pitcher ahead of time and having these cheat cards, it's teaching patience or what it is. But I think you're right. I think it's all that prep in the minors and bringing analytics into the real world that led to this.
Yeah. And related to that, who's also has a really good bat night this year. And that's the guy who leads the team in terms of lowest chase percentage, as he only chases 19% of the pitches out of the strike zone. And that's Cedric Mullins. So Cedric Mullins, I feel like this year has had a really good bat and eye to go along with. I mean, that's a better bat and eye, a better chase rate than even Adley Rutschman, who of course is one of the best guys in baseball with that. So, that's another testament to, if you look at kind of the top guys with OBP on this team, you have Adley first, then you have Mateo, Henderson, Mullins. So your three fastest guys, Mateo, Henderson, Mullins, are all getting on base at a 360 or higher clip. That's just so much speed on the bases at all times.
Right, and that's part of we were talking earlier about, I guess we haven't been talking, but just in general about stolen bases and stolen base numbers being up, and they're way up for the Orioles. And people are like, is it because of the larger bases? Is it because of the pitch clock? A lot of it is that we're on base more often now.
Yeah. The only thing keeping Mateo from stealing 50 bases in any year, I don't care if the bases are the size of a pea. The only thing that keeping Jorge Mateo from stealing 50 bases in any given year is him getting on base enough to steal 50 bases. If I knew he was going to get on base at a 370 clip, I would have marked him down in my bold predictions as stealing 50 bases. The only reason I didn't is because, usually gets on base is more of a 330 clip. Yeah. And so if he's getting on base, 50 more times this year, that's going to lead to a bunch more stolen bases.
Right. No, I agree. I guess if we want to talk kind of about that lineup, I think I feel like there were some placeholders put on in this roster that we didn't really know how they fit in this organization. And I think Adam Frazier has really shown to be a good guy in this lineup. He's been hitting the ball a lot better than I expected as just a veteran guy that I had no expectations and didn't understand why he was on this team.
Yeah, it's funny. He got off to the really hot start in the first kind of couple series of the season. And then I saw someone 2 days ago tweet out, where are those Adam Frazier lovers who said Michael Elias is a genius for bringing Adam Frazier because he got off the hot start?
Right.
Because Adam Frazier struggled for a couple series.
Right.
And then the day after that, he hit that big home run against Mackenzie Gore, the 3-run homer against Mackenzie Gore. And was like the player of the game that day. Yeah. So, depending on the series, you may love or hate Adam Frazier.
But that's everyone. Besides Adley Rutschman, there's no one who's going to be consistent 100% of the time.
Well, if we did this podcast, Josh, on Monday, I would bet the majority of our podcast will be griping about the pitching. Yes. And then since Monday, we just haven't given up a run. so all of a sudden the narrative changes a little bit just in a couple of days.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, I think Adam Frazier is going to have a long leash, and then we'll kind of revisit him in July and see where he's at. And then the Orioles will be in a position where, okay, we can replace you, we can promote someone, we can trade for someone, or you're getting the job done. So I think Adam Frazier is not going to be guaranteed he's going to be in the team all year, but I think so far he's proven to be a good piece in this Orioles
good pickup.
Puzzle. Yeah, so far it's looking like a good pickup.
All right, let's talk about it. Gunnar Henderson. What are you concerned about Gunnar Henderson? Do you think it's just a struggle? We talked about how not everyone's going to be perfect, but Gunnar Henderson doesn't have a huge track record yet.
Yeah, I go back to the fact that even struggling, and again, I'll say this again, as far as getting on base, right? That's what you want your guys to do, get on base. He's third on the team in on base percentage. Third. Even though he only has 9 hits, he's walked 15 times this year, which is second behind only Adley Rutschman. So he gets on base a lot. And so for me, like if this was Jonathan Scope or something, a guy who never walked, well, the 176 batting average would be a lot hard to swallow if he never gets on base with walking.
Yeah.
But I can handle this. Like we can weather Gunnar Henderson's offensive struggles because he gets on base in other ways. Now, would you like him to hit more? Would you like him to hit more doubles? He only has 2. Would you like him to hit for more power? He only has 1 home run. Would you like him to drive in more runs? He only has 3 RBI so far this year. Would you like him to do those things? Obviously, you would. Would you like him to play better defensively? He has not been great at third base. His throws have been a little bit wild at times. So can he play better? Yes. But even a bad Gunnar Henderson, I think is still a good baseball player. So I hope he plays better. But I'm not stressed, and I think he will play better. And even if he's not playing well, I think he's still playing well, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
He still contributes, even when he doesn't play well.
Correct. Any other takeaways from this lineup?
From the lineup, no. I think it's interesting that we've had so much success. And I think if you look at a couple of our best offensive players in Gunnar Henderson, and you could also throw in there Anthony Santander, these guys haven't really heated up yet. And so I think some guys cool off, some guys heat up, but I'm curious to see, like, Santander is going to get it going. He's going to get it going at some point. He only has 1 home run this year. He's going to go on a streak where he hits some bombs. So he has too much power not to do it. The other thing I said, and people say this, I think it's true, but it was true last year. I don't know how often can this be true before, like, you just have to accept it as a reality. But Ryan Mountcastle, all Ryan Mountcastle does is go up there and like hit the ball hard.
Yeah.
And the problem with Ryan Mountcastle is, though, he always hits it really hard to someone standing right there. Like,
right.
And I don't know exactly what to do about that. But the batting average is there, and Ryan Mountcastle is not like a guy like Gunnar Henderson. Like, Mountcastle doesn't walk, but Josh, average exit velocity, 94 percentile. Hard hit ball, 91 percentile. X slugging, 95 percentile. Like, all his numbers, all his barrel rate, 94th percentile.
Right.
Weird. This is weird. Sprint speed, 82 percentile. StatCast has Ryan Mountcastle as one of the fastest players in baseball. I don't understand what that's all about. But all the other numbers.
It's just to first base. Just like 1 sprint to first base, maybe.
Yeah. But still, no, but maybe there's a small sample size here because he only has, I don't know if it measures that for hits or if it just measures that on hits. And he only has like 10 hits this year or something because he hits so many home runs. But he hits the ball hard. He's one of the best players in baseball by hitting it hard. He just doesn't get on base a lot. It's just weird. So I hope that works itself out.
Yeah, I hope so. Because he's still, and he's fun to watch.
Yeah, he seems to always, any shot of him, he always kind of has like a smile on his face. He seems to have a good attitude. So yeah.
Speaking of that speed, I just had to pull it up, but he has 2 stolen bases this year.
Yeah, so maybe we're just in general sleeping on.
His speed.
According to Statcast, Josh, he is our second fastest player behind only Jorge Mateo. Like Statcast has him as faster this
that's
year than
maybe
Mullins and
maybe you're right. Maybe
Henderson.
there's a small sample size. I mean, he's got. We talk about how he's got his 6 home runs, but all right, so he's got 16 hits. So 6 of them were home runs.
Yeah.
4 of them were doubles. So I mean that's pretty good. So then 10 are yeah. What's that math? 6 of them are singles.
6 of them are just singles. Yeah.
Yeah. So I mean that's pretty good power, and I guess that leads towards that speed if he's getting to second base 4 times, a quarter of the time. But yeah, I never think of him as a fast guy. He got 4 stolen bases in 21 and 22, and he's already got 2 this year. So I'm guessing he's going to outpace the previous years.
Yeah, I guess so. And they have. I mean, you can look also. I mean, we've talked about small sample size. You can look at like the year-to-year rate. And last year is ranked 275th in baseball. So, and this year he's ranked 57th. So he's jumped up over 200 spots. So I don't know if he was doing some kind of workout routine in the off season, but we'll pay attention. I'll come back and revisit that sprint speed because that just might be a quirky thing. Or maybe he did something in the off season to make himself a little bit faster. We'll revisit that one. But yeah, he's hitting the ball hard.
Yeah, he's got 3 walks as well. I don't remember him as a walk guy, but he's got a few.
Yeah, I mean, I said it before. I feel like it's true for Ryan Mountcastle, less so because Ryan Mountcastle still swings at some bad balls. But in general, you remember how many times we would complain about Adam Jones swinging at a ball in the dirt?
Yeah.
Or how many times we'd be mad at Chris Davis for not just swinging at all at anything. Right. And I feel like this team has such good understanding of when to lay off and when to swing. And Adley certainly sets that tone. But I feel like this entire team, you just don't see very many bad plate appearances. Like very rarely do you see like a 3 or 4 pitch at bat. Like almost every at bat is like a competitive, taking good pitches, fouling some balls off. Like they're all good at bats. And that's something that I think that's unique and that we really haven't seen here in Birdland. And it's fun and refreshing to see so many good players taking good at bats.
Right. Real quick, bullpen. Do you trust anyone in this bullpen outside of Felix Bautista?
Gosh, the bullpen is absolutely bonkers this year. If you would have told me that Givens would be injured the first 18 games, Dylan Tate would have been injured the first 18 games, Austin Voth would have been terrible, Cenel Perez would have been terrible, I said, Josh, we're screwed. Like, we're not winning any games like that. If you would have told me that the best bullpen arms will be this guy, Colomb, and Cano, and Bauman, I would have said, who are these guys? I mean, I knew Bauman, but going in, I couldn't say anything about Cano. I didn't know who Colomb was until we picked him up. Josh, they have led our bullpen along with Felix Bautista, but it's almost like the unlikeliest of heroes. And where would we be without Yanier Cano and the kind of the big out that he's gotten recently? And Colomb, who's been unhittable, where would we be without these guys? To me, that's kind of an amazing, remarkable story. Not that our bullpen's pitched well, because last year our bullpen was a strength, but who's pitching well to me is pretty amazing.
Because if the guys from last year stepped up also, we'd be in really good shape.
Yeah, but they've been hurt or ineffective.
Right.
And so as far as I don't and Brian Baker, him and his moonwalk, he's been really good too. He's been kind of fun to watch, and his attitude is, I kind of like his attitude and stuff. So that's been good.
Yeah, I like Baker.
Yeah. Okay. Josh, if you look at something like, okay, I know I'm doing a lot of StatCast. I'm just kind of fascinated by some of the StatCast numbers, but like they have a thing for pitchers called hard hit percentage.
Okay.
And so, for example, our best starting pitcher has been Kyle Gibson, who has a hard hit percentage of 36.5%. So 36% of the hits he gives up are hard hit balls.
That sounds high. Is that not high?
It's our best starting pitcher.
Okay.
To compare it, I don't know. Felix Bautista has a 41% of the balls that get hit are hard off him.
Right.
Now, I think.
But he has probably less hit off of him.
Yeah, he strikes out so many guys
Yes.
that, when they less balls to draw it. Brian Baker is our second best guy in the bullpen at 23.8. All right.
Okay.
But Josh, the number of Danny Colome, his hard hit percentage, 7.
And then remember,
single digits, 7.
This is a guy that we picked up like the week before the season started. Danny Colome.
Yeah. After spring training ended.
Yeah.
Josh, so he's faced 26 batters, 3 hits, 0 walks.
Well,
10 strikeouts.
Didn't he go like his first 3 starts or 4 starts without giving up a hit?
Yeah, and Cano, the other guy, 0 hits so far. He hasn't given up a hit yet.
Right. No, and these are guys, that we didn't know their names before the season started.
Yeah, it's pretty wild. So Cano and Colome are now. I have such high confidence in both those players. Yennier Cano, whose biggest issue was walks in the past. He's kind of like, you could maybe draw the comparison to Felix Bautista. Okay. Great arm, walked a bunch of guys. Maybe he's figured it out. So far, 0 walks with the Orioles so far, with facing 12 guys. He's a guy that came in the Jorge Lopez trade. So if we get Jorge Lopez, and by the way, we also got Cade Povich in that trade, who's off to a good start. That's all of a sudden look like a pretty good trade.
Yep.
I'm not ready to say Yennier Cano is our lockdown 8th inning guy.
No.
But he looks pretty good.
He's got potential.
And he's got a bit of a attitude to him too. He'll stare you down. he's a stare. Even it doesn't matter if you strike out or if you ground out. He's staring you down.
Yeah.
Baker's moonwalking. He's staring you down. Felix Bautista is just scaring everybody. We got a pretty fun bullpen back there.
Right. All right. I know we're coming on an hour.
Yeah.
But I haven't asked you yet your opinion about the Homer hose.
You mean the dong bong?
The dong bong. Dong bong, Homer hose, hydration station.
Yeah.
Do you like this celebration?
Well, I'll put it this way. My son is no longer allowed to watch Oriole games in fear that he might one day see the Homer hose and then want to go to college fraternity parties and participate in some inappropriate activities. So my son is no longer allowed to watch baseball games thanks to the Oriole celebration. So
his those are my thoughts. I was sending him one.
No, he thought. I mean, you guys were at the game. It was like a Monday or something.
Yeah, I was at the first game
unveiled the Homer hose.
Yes,
because I remember thinking you guys were there.
Yep.
And I was watching with Silas when we first saw the Homer hose, and Silas thought it was pretty funny. He was like, "Oh, so I guess they're not doing the home run chain anymore. They're doing this."
No, and I think, I don't think there's any kids seeing that and thinking that makes me want to drink a beer.
No, my son has not made that connection.
No.
My 5-year-old has not made that connection.
Right. So thanks to Birdland Sports, I started making the Homer hoses. So my kids have all tried it out with water. They have no desire. They have no knowledge that beer goes into the thing.
Yes, but once they get to college, they'll be experts and it'll be advanced in that area. So that's smart too.
Yeah, sure. If this thing goes on for 10 years. I mean, let's be real. I think a lot of people forget the fact that these baseball players are 22, 24, 25 years old. Like, it's a total frat boy celebration, but what do you think these kids are?
So do you buy the argument that it's supposed to be like just playing outside and this is a garden hose where you're filling up with the garden hose? Do you buy that argument?
I do, because I talked with Cole Irvin about it. Because there was never supposed to be a funnel. It was supposed to just be a hose, because they first came out with the sprinkler celebration and they came out with the shooting water out of their mouths first. And then the problem they ran into is they couldn't get the water down the hose. So that's why they had to add the funnel. So before Cole Irvins went down, he and I had some conversations about this. And so I believe him because of that. And because he was really big on pushing the water celebration and how to expand it past the sprinkler and how to get the fans involved. So without going the dong bong route.
Well,
the Orioles quickly picked up that the fan base ran the dong bong route, and I am very thankful, and I think it's a smart move for Orioles and Major League Baseball to not try to shut it down and let it play out.
Yeah, and I think this is one of those things where like fans can be with an inside joke and call it the dong bong, and they can have fun with it, and that's fine. And the Orioles should call it the homer hose, and
it's like when we it's like when we go for the games out west, and on Twitter you'll see, oh, I'm excited for Dongs After Dark. You're never going to see Melanie Newman start off the broadcast with, here we are in Oakland for another night of Dongs After Dark.
Yeah, nor would we tell fans, you really shouldn't say Dongs After Dark because that could have inappropriate implications.
Exactly.
It's just silly. Yeah.
So you want me to mail one to Silas? Got one here for him.
We've already, when we watch the game, Josh, we do the sprinkler together every time they hit an extra base hit.
Do you?
Yeah, we do.
All right. One of these is heading to you.
All right. One of the things I like about the celebration is the home run chain was just the home run chain, and then they had the Call of Duty eyes, but there was no connection between the home run chain and the Call of Duty. This is an escalation. You're turning on the spout, you're hitting the sprinkler, and then you're hitting the garden hose. I like the progression of ideas. I'm a fan of the whole celebration.
All right, I'm going to throw out one of Cole's ideas because I haven't talked to him since he went down to the minors. He hasn't returned my
Josh
messages.
only talks to major leaguers. When you get sent down,
no,
he blocks your number.
He didn't respond.
He only talks to major leaguers.
So I
call him back when you make the major.
I was holding this out because we have over at Birdland Sports, we have all the shirts to go along with however you want to do the Homer hose. We sell Homer hoses, Homer hose shirts, hydration station shirts, the sprinkler shirt. We've got them all, and they're all.
While everyone was celebrating the Homer hose, Josh was in the back thinking, "Oh, I gotta make some T-shirts."
Oh yeah, definitely, yes. But he would like to take the bleachers, and you know how we used to have like 2110 Utah Street, where you get a T-shirt and you go celebrate Markakis and Adam Jones out there. He wants to turn the bleachers or the left field section into the bird bath, and when a home run lands there, all the fans start throwing water in the air to be part of this water celebration.
Oh, that's cool. Yeah, I like the left field.
I thought it was a good idea.
Yeah.
So yeah. Anyway, if you want to get your own Homer hose, go on over to birdlandsports.com. They're $15, and I hand make them myself, and then I box them up. And check this out, Matt. I went through multiple prototypes. Here's one. This is the final one. If you go up here's my collection of funnels. All the different funnels I've gone through to try to find the proper size. And here's why. This is my question for you. This is the Homer hose I landed on. And it's a about 16 to 18 inch hose, and the top collapses because I think you could fit this in your pocket to take on into Camden Yards.
Yeah, I was going to ask, is that a legal thing to carry into Camden Yards?
There's nothing official about it yet. I don't think they want you taking out and doing beer bongs in the stadium, but will they stop you if you pull this out of your pocket and pour a bottle of water in it?
Yeah.
I don't know. I can't wait.
They came out and said no gas cans, but they said nothing about
They said no gas
hoses.
cans.
Yeah.
And I can understand no gas cans, but I purposely made mine small enough that it's pocketable.
Yeah.
So I'm hoping, I think we might learn in this series, this home series coming up. I think you might see some fans. I just think it'd be really exciting to see when the Orioles hit the home run, that kind of like the home run chain took over the stadium, that everyone pulls out their Homer hose. So
yeah, no, and maybe also if you hit a grand slam, do you do like a not a keg stand, but something like a cooler stand?
Well, yeah.
If you hit a grand slam,
no, but remember, it's a hose. It's like playing the ground, playing in the hose.
Oh yeah, it's just a hose. That's right.
So you got to think of more like, I don't know, maybe a slip and slide or something. You got to think kid, little kid.
Just little kids out in the backyard playing baseball and getting up into getting thirsty and trying to cool off. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, maybe some type of splash pad, splash zone. But it's all kids. It's not alcohol. It's kids having
no
fun
alcohol.
with the hose.
Just watering kids having fun. Absolutely.
Right. Also, did you see the Orioles got a big homestand coming up? Did you see they sent a nice announcement email this weekend to get you to go buy tickets and everything? Came out today. Get you in the yard. Yeah, it's actually, never mind. It's not about this weekend. John Angelos must have sent this email. It's the Birdland Summer Music is Back for 3 games this season email.
Oh, yes. I saw that on Twitter because Shaq. I saw, Shaq's there.
Shaq is coming in DJing tonight.
I didn't see that one coming.
And you mean Diesel.
Oh, is that his
That's his DJ name? Diesel.
Yeah.
And then Andy Grammer and Brett Young. I don't know who Brett Young is.
I don't know either of those guys.
But either way, it's just I can't see anything with Orioles related to music without shaking my head at John Angelos right now.
Yeah. Trying to capitalize on, the Orioles winning their last 3 series by promoting some concerts. Let's go.
Right. I think they did do a special for this weekend thanks to Ryan Mountcastle's 9 RBI game, but that was old news.
Okay. All right. Well, Josh, this about covers it. I think we have another couple episodes of positivity before we get into May. So let's enjoy the ride and keep on winning series.
Yeah. What do we have? 3 games against the Tigers before I know we're recording this late. We're doing this a Thursday episode, which means I hope we're in pretty good shape when we record again back on schedule next week.
Yeah, I mean, just between now and then, just a series against Detroit. So, I think that should go well. And then Boston, and then Detroit again. So we're gonna hopefully end this month out strong.
Yeah, I don't like this week of 2 off days.
Yeah. I normally would agree with you, but it's the end of semester here at Mercer.
Okay.
And my schedule has been crazy busy, so I actually don't mind it so much because I got work to do. So, but yeah, normally I would agree with you. And I think after this, we got a long stretch of. Well, this is, I think, the only time this year where you have 2 off days in 1 week, right? That seems weird.
We have it in June.
Oh, you do have it in June.
Okay. Where we have 2 games at Tampa for some reason.
Yeah. Okay. And then of course the All-Star break, but.
Yeah. So, but yeah, we have a long stretch after this. We have. We have Detroit, Boston, Detroit in the next 10 games. Then we get an off day.
Yeah.
Then
things get hard.
Yeah, and then it's Kansas City, Atlanta, Tampa.
Kansas City has been terrible this year, but after Kansas City, we'll be at that series Atlanta.
Yep.
And then Tampa Bay, and then Pittsburgh, who's been one of the best teams in baseball this year. They've actually been really good. And then the Angels, who I think are good.
The Angels
then Toronto,
than their numbers say. Yeah.
Yep. Then Toronto, Yankees, Texas has been good. Cleveland's been good. It's a gauntlet in May.
Enjoy April, and then we'll see what we're really made of in May.
And fight for 500 in May. Absolutely. Yep. Let's rack some wins in April and shoot for 500 in May, and then I think we'll be sitting okay.
All
right, cool. Anything else go out and get yourself a Homer Hose t-shirt and Homer Hose contraption.
Yeah. If you ordered a Homer Hose for yourself, I hand make them. So some got mailed out each day this week and more are going out tomorrow. So you'll be getting yours soon.
Do you get a t-shirt and contraption kind of package deal? You get a t-shirt and the contraption?
I don't, but I do have a 2-pack deal. I got some. Here's the deal. There's 2023 World Series Championship shirts. They're $10. Go get those. If you use the code 336, I believe you even get a discount off that. I also have a 2-pack of shirts where you get the Birds and Gunnar Henderson for $20. So you should grab that. And then, the Homer Hose is up and all the Homer Hose celebration stuff's up. No package deals yet with the hose, but they might be coming.
No, charge full price for those. Make them pay, Josh.
Well, here's the problem. I make them myself, so that's why they're $15.
That's your hours in there.
I have to wrap the orange tape around the pipe. I got to cut the pipe to the right length. I have to super glue the funnel in. Plus, I had to buy all of the collapsible funnels I could find.
Yeah.
So.
All right, boys and girls, thanks for listening. You can follow Josh's Homer Hose updates at Berlin Sports. You can follow me on Twitter at Section336 and the show on Twitter at Section336show. And you can follow Josh on Twitter
at Josh Soroka. Hey, do you think it's appropriate for me to bring the Homer Hose to the Little League games this weekend?
Every time a player gets a hit, do you have some celebrations there?
Yeah, that's the problem. We don't get homers.
Yeah. Maybe you can share it with the other team when they get their homers.
Ooh, burn.
Yeah. Next week we'll do a couple little league updates because I'm curious to see how your season's
Oh, we've
going.
got to, because starting Saturday, I have a game Saturday, Monday, Tuesday, Saturday. I got a 4-game stretch next week because we're catching up on rain delays. So definitely have some stories there.
All right, sounds good. All right, boys and girls, thanks for listening. And as always, go O's.